What's going on, guys? TZ Champ here. Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be ranking every First Descendant that there is currently in the game, apart from the ultimates, because we're just going to count them as the same ones. So as we can see here, I have a tier list that I found on Tier List Maker, of course, and we're just going to be creating, you know, some tiers based off of the performance of these descendants, and this will let you know, which descendants are worth investing time into, kind of, making and things like that, and like using. Kind of hard to really explain it because some of them kind of fit in a very niche category, whereas others are just general use all around good. But we'll kind of discuss that in this video as well. So to kick things off, let's get started right away with Lepic. Lepic is incredibly good. His ultimate version is slightly better. All ultimate versions are slightly better than their counterparts, and require a little bit less farm to use as well, because they usually come with 4 slots already socketed with a certain socket type, and if they happen to match the types of modules that you're going to be using, then that's a little bit less farming that you're going to actually have to do to grind that character up. Now, Lepic does incredible DPS, huge boss killer, and has a passive ability that allows him to survive being killed and regenerates about half of his HP every 10 minutes. This guy right here is S tier. I'm putting him at S tier. I personally use him myself, so there's a little bit of bias there, but I didn't want to fit in that niche category of just using Glaive for everything. So Lepic is the one that I go with. Definitely an S tier descendant. Next we have Valby. Valby is one of those kind of niche-ish characters. She doesn't do crazy amounts of DPS, but she does pretty good ad clear and is used to do the infamous Valby run, which helps you grind up Kyper shards and gold. That has all since then been nerfed, but she's still very useful for doing outpost runs and just farming up for gold and shards. So I'm going to be putting her at B tier, not because she's bad or anything. That's just kind of middle of the line. She's not particularly good at anything, but she's not bad at anything. She's just good and useful for farming, and that's about it. Next, we have Kyle. Kyle, unfortunately, is kind of in the exact same boat as a Valby. He's not really bad at anything, but he's not really good either. Most of his abilities all scale off of max shield, and shield scales terribly in the game, and currently it has not been reworked or anything to increase the scaling of his shield. There was a bug for a while where he was broken and able to one-shot bosses with his ability, but since then it has been patched and he can no longer do that. I'm placing him at B tier as well, just because until he gets some kind of a rework or they improve shield scaling, he is just not going to be cutting it here in on our list, when there are people that just do things better than him. Next we have Ezimo. Ezimo is kind of bad, to be honest. He basically does the same thing that Lepic does, but worse, and his DPS scaling is actually worse as well. I'm putting Ezimo in F tier. Next we have Enzo. Enzo is a very good support. He can apply drones to people that can do a little bit of damage to single targets, and then can do an explosive blast after they run out of ammo, which can hit fairly hard, but it's mostly just for ad clearing and not actually for DPS. Where he shines is going to be the ability to give ammo to his teammates. Whenever he places the drones on them, he can give them ammo, as well as place an ammo box that teammates can run up to restore their ammo. And everyone should have an Enzo, because the encrypted vaults in the game actually give additional rewards to Enzo when you use him to decrypt them. He also makes the decrypting process easier, so definitely pick yourself up an Enzo, because he is A tier. He's A tier mostly because he fills that niche for the encrypted vaults, but he's also a pretty good support. Next up we have Eugen. Eugen is the best healer in the game. You cannot deny that. And because of that, he immediately goes into S tier. There is no one else in the game that can heal as good as Eugen can. Very good support, S tier support. The first teams that I saw that were able to successfully farm Gluttony effectively was using Eugen to heal their entire team. So he is very, very strong. So keep that in mind in the future whenever you're looking at possibly becoming a support player. Or if you've noticed that all your team keeps dying a lot, you might want to get yourself a Eugen and just keep them all alive. Next up, we have Luna. Luna was a huge letdown for me. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I was so excited for when Luna launched because I thought her abilities were going to be very unique. I knew she was going to be a support mostly, but she also had the ability to deal damage as well. And I wanted to try and capitalize on the new Descendant to try and, you know, make some content with her and stuff. But I literally could not build her to be useful in the slightest. She needs a rework or a buff. I'm not going to say she's F tier because she does at least give buffs to herself and teammates, whereas Ezimo is just not good at all. But she definitely needs some kind of buff or rework because right now she just is not useful. So yeah. Next we have Haley. Haley is going to be S tier. I don't really have to explain that too much. Her single target damage that she can do with her power modifiers is absolutely absurd. She can literally just fade away a boss like it's nothing. And it's really, really strong. And she has also some pretty good ad clear capabilities as well, because one of her abilities shoots a beam. I think it's her second ability. And it does pretty impressive damage as well. Her other abilities are a little lackluster, but you're mostly going to be using her for her ultimate anyway, which is the strongest ability in her kit because it allows her to do crit damage as well as weak point damage on top of the skill modifiers and power modifiers and stuff that it gives her. It just overall does incredible damage, and she can basically 2 to 3 shot a boss. Next, we have Ajax. Ajax is a really, really good character. He's probably the best tank in the game, but where he falls off is that defense is what he scales off of, and it does have diminishing returns as you get more defense. I did a run against the normal mode Executioner with Ajax having 20,000 defense, and the Executioner was doing 18 damage per shot on me. And when I upped his defense from 20,000 to 90,000, the damage only decreased by 4 points. So the diminishing returns definitely hurt, but in terms of tankiness, he is still probably the best tank in the game. So I'm going to be putting him in A tier, but he's going to be top A tier. So he would be like top A tier, low S tier, just because he is so good. All he's missing is that DPS output. If he had something that dealt just a little bit of DPS, he would, no, he's going in S tier. S tier for sure, actually, because he's actually kind of busted. I'm not gonna lie. He's like best tank in the game. He actually does have an ability to do DPS with his shield that scales off a defense that I have seen someone do, and they were able to melt a boss with it. So yeah, we're going to be putting him in S tier because you can actually do DPS with him. Next is Vaisa. Vaisa, unfortunately, is not a terrible, she's unfortunately not a great Descendant, but she's also not terrible. So I'm going to have to put her in B tier, which is kind of baseline. Again, she's lacking some kind of damage or something. She does mostly AoE damage to ads. She doesn't really do any kind of crazy good damage to others. So I don't know. It's a little lackluster is what I would call it. Up next, we have Jaber. Jaber is a very unique character because he has the ability to place drones or turrets out that can deal damage to those that surround her or surround them and surround the turrets. And then also he can upgrade them with a multi-tool gun, I believe is what it's called. and which is pretty interesting. And then there's like ultimate ability, he can blow up the drone and then place a new version of it, I think, or places a new version and then blows it up. I don't know. I haven't used him a lot just because they have terrible scaling. There's no way to really scale the damage of the turrets. And then one of them is a healing turret, so he's the only other person who can really heal teammates, I think. But it's very low healing, unless the turret only works on himself. I don't remember testing that, so I'm not sure. But either way, Jaber's in need of a buff because he's just not cutting it right now. So C tier is where he goes. Next we have Sharon. Sharon, on the other hand, is just like Enzo. She fits a very interesting niche because she's the only descendant in the game that can go stealth. And because of that, she's the only one that you're going to be using to do outpost farming. Now, outpost farming, for people who might not know, is when you farm the outposts, if you do it stealthily, you can get what is called a successful infiltration, which gives you additional and different rewards upon completing it. A lot of those rewards, pretty much all of those rewards, is going to be either a stabilizer of some kind to increase the odds of getting a item that you want out of an anamorphous material, or an actual anamorphous material that's different from the main one that you can get. So the chances of getting the anamorphous material is 5% to 25%. I think it depends on how many people are with you when you do it, but I'm not 100% sure, so I can't confirm that. Now, unfortunately, her DPS output is not crazy, and her tankiness is also not very good either. So where she excels in stealth, she lacks in pretty much everything else. Now, her single target damage is kind of massive, as she has the ability to stun, as well as do a swipe with her knife that she has, which does pretty decent damage. Her ultimate can target multiple enemies and fire a bunch of like missiles at them and stuff, which is pretty cool. But the damage is not very powerful. But either way, she still gets put into A tier as being the only descendant in the game that can stealth. Highly recommend getting her because you're going to need her for outpost farming anyway. Glay is just Glay. Glay is the most broken descendant in the game. She can give herself infinite ammo. She scales only off of HP. She cannot use shields. So everything that you put into her goes straight to HP. You can get her up to like 30,000 HP or 20,000 HP, something like that. Ridiculous numbers. And she can melt a boss in less time than you can say her name. So she's just broken, and she will always be broken. She's the only character I think in the game that's allowed to be broken, so don't expect her to get a nerf or a rework anytime soon. Up next is the deadly cook himself, Blair. Blair is really cool because he has like mage aspects, which I think might be the reason he was named Blair, because you know there's the Blair Witch, and then he uses like his fire almost seems like it's magic based, and then also it's like flare, Blair, you know, so it's, I don't know, could be why they designed him that way, not 100% sure obviously, but he is really cool because he is very mage-like and I love his design. However, I do think his damage is very low. He does have some instances where his damage can be very good. I think you can actually put like a couple of Blairs together and place his fire pits down underneath like Frostwalker, and you can just basically melt the Frostwalker's HP. But it's very situational and stuff, so I would probably put him in B tier, slightly above Vaisa, just because where Vaisa lacks in DPS, he can make up for it because his ultimate ability is a flamethrower, which is pretty cool. I think it's his ultimate. It might not be his ultimate. It might be another ability but he does have a single target flamethrower that deals pretty heavy damage. Next up is Bunny. Bunny is S tier. In fact, she is probably above. Let's see, if I was to place these correctly, it would be like this. I would put Bunny below Lepic but above Haley. Because Haley, you have to be distanced away from the boss and stuff to deal that kind of damage. Haley also doesn't excel very well in normal missions as much as others do, whereas Bunny is going to be an elite farmer. She's going to farm up all of your XP for you when you're doing level ups and when you're doing Kuiper farms and gold farms and things like that, and weapon XP farms. Bunny is basically just your go through the mission, complete it fast, ad clearing machine. She does a semi-decent boss DPS, but not really a ton for it to really matter. She just mostly excels at just being fast at everything. Lastly on the list, we got Freyna. Freyna is interesting. She is unique in her damage type because she deals poison damage. Or toxic damage. She's the only descendant that does that. However, her scalings are terrible, so her damage output is terrible, and most of her damage comes from damage over time, which is also very low as well, unless it's going up against ads. So while she's good at ad clear, she's pretty terrible at everything else. So honestly, I would put her in C tier. She's in desperate need of a buff. I would still put her above Jaber, just because Jaber's turrets are slightly worse than what she does. But she's definitely not, like, way up there. You know what I mean? Let me take one more final look at this list, actually. I just want to make sure there's no other changes that I want to do, because our S tier is kind of stacked right now. I'm not going to lie. I feel like Ajax has to come down, or Eugen. One of these two has to come down, because one of them's really, maybe shouldn't be an S tier. Maybe Eugen. Eugen lacks the DPS, so maybe he goes to A tier. This looks more okay to me. And I'm not saying like Eugen's bad. Eugen is still really, really good. It's just, I don't know if he's S tier worthy yet. So the way I'm basing this is kind of off of just their viability, as well as like their sheer uses. And majority of their uses are going to be in bosses, let's be honest, because once you've finished farming, like, you're mostly going to dedicate one character to farming, and that character is most likely going to be Bunny, so we've already got her in S tier. When it comes past that, you're going to be using these other characters for DPSing bosses and things like that. And to be honest, just Eugen is support. And while I'm not saying that a support can't be an S tier, I don't see him being that strong comparatively. Like, I'm putting him in the same category as Haley and Lepic, who have the ability to essentially nuke a boss within the first 10 seconds of the fight. Doesn't seem fair when all he's doing is healing. And you might be wondering, well, why is Bunny up there? Well, and Ajax. Bunny is up there because of her unique ability, where she lacks in boss DPSing, she excels in every other aspect of the game. Farming, runs, all that kind of stuff. She is the best. And currently one of the most used XP farms in the game requires Bunny or Sharon to do it. So, and then Ajax is just the only good tank in the game. So, I don't know. I'm happy with this list right here. I think this is a decent list. Yeah, I think this is a good list. Let me know, guys. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with this list? Is there any changes you would make? If so, let me know in the comment section down below. And hopefully, if any new players are trying to figure out which characters they should probably unlock and invest time in upgrading and stuff, maybe this list will help you out. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share it with others, see what their thoughts are as well, and let me know in the comments also as and let me know if you want to see me do more tier lists and stuff like this, because this is kind of fun and interesting. I like doing this. Send me more ideas of tier lists that I should do, and I will try and make some. But yeah. Thank you again for watching, and I just want to say one other thing real quick before we go. Thank you guys so much to everybody who's been watching my videos. I know I haven't been really hitting the mark on a bunch of my videos. I've been missing it a little bit. Some people have not been as happy with my content as I would have preferred them to be, and I just want to say thank you anyway for watching. I know it might not have been what you wanted, but I still thank you for watching, of course, as always. And hopefully my future content is better and improves over time. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do the First Descendant content, because honestly, it's become such a grind, and I've lost so much interest in the actual game because there's just nothing left for me to do in it. I've already beaten the campaign of it. There's nothing really that I want to do and farm. Everything just seems too repetitive at this point and too time consuming. So I've been exploring out, venturing out into possibly playing some other games and things, and recording other content in other games. So that might be happening in the future, but I do not know yet. So I just wanted to say that real quick and just, thank you guys so much. And, but yeah, as always, I'll see you in the next video, and yeah, love you guys. Peace.